All right. So, interesting turn of events. I was getting ready to sit down and create my welcome to my new YouTube channel video and talk about all the different types of content that you can expect to see on here. And then the Canon R1 arrived at the same time. And so then I started thinking, well, I guess I could do an unboxing video. So I decided to just combine the two. So while I'm doing the unboxing, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and my background, and yeah, what you can expect to see on my new channel. So here we go. So I guess the first thing would be my name is Matt Bills, and I am a full time professional photographer and videographer. I am based in a city just outside of Omaha, Nebraska, and I photograph a really wide range of things because I like to keep things exciting. And I know anyone who is creative and operating in that space know that, keeping things fun and keeping things exciting is kind of what fuels many of us. So I operate under two different brands. One is called Get It Sold Listing Services, which is primarily focused on all things real estate. And then the other is Aspects and Angles Photography. And that pretty much covers everything else, anything that's not related to real estate. Going back a little bit, growing up, I was an avid skateboarder. Early 2000s, it's pretty much all I did. And there was always someone with a camera because that's what we did. That's what skateboarders still do today. They film their tricks and then they put out videos, and so that was really my first introduction to actually holding a camera in my hands and filming my friends doing their tricks. And also my friends filming me and me kind of learning through that process. I believe I even used a very, very early version of Adobe Premiere that I may or may not have obtained through questionable means online. And so that kind of lit the spark, I guess, early on. But I'm not going to pretend like I've been in this space since I was 12 or 13 because that's not the case at all. But that did start me down the path of kind of being a more kind of creative minded person. And fast forward through a number of years, eventually I picked up the camera again and just started shooting, and really did that just for fun. It was just to kind of shoot travel stuff and just whatever my wife and I were doing. And eventually, my wife, who is a real estate agent, she was actually doing all of her own listing photos on her houses. And I started to, I thought, oh, I was kind of curious, so I started to actually shoot some of her listing photos. And people started asking her, "Hey, who does your listing photos, and are they available for hire?" So I did a few paid jobs, and that was great. And then I was just like, "Wow, this is someone's paying me to use my camera. This is weird." And so I started to Get It Sold Listing Services, and that really kind of started me down the path of actually building a business where I was using my camera to not just do what I was enjoying doing, but actually getting paid for it. So before I move on to the next part, let's actually start, opening the box. So some of you might be asking why the R1. Well, I've got two 1DX Mark IIIs sitting here. I've been using the 1DX Mark III for the last, I got it when it first came out, which I think was sometime in 2020. And so, yes, I know, still a DSLR. What am I doing? Most or a lot of people have, obviously moved on to mirrorless because that's really the future. Well, it has been the current and will be the future going forward. But, I've got two bodies with me. I always have a kind of a primary and a backup. Also, I usually keep two different lenses on each body, but they work extremely well. And considering I shoot a ton of sports, They really are kind of a workhorse for sports, and they're incredible. But I do know that there was a point in time where, or there would be a point in time where I needed to move to mirrorless, and so I figured I'd wait for the flagship to come out. And this is just unboxing. I'm not going to dive into any of the details like about the camera. I think I'm going to save that for another video. But all right, so opening the box here, got the manual. I probably won't read because I like to just go out and mess with the camera and figure it out. And then let's see here. So while this is going, I'm opening this. So my other brand, Aspects and Angles Photography, I started that brand because I was starting to get more and more requests in the real estate world for things not related to real estate. So real estate agents would be like, hey, do you also do family photos? Do you do senior photos? Can you come photograph my birthday? And the list goes on. So I was thinking, well, yes, I'm totally comfortable doing all that, but it makes more sense being under a kind of a non-real estate brand. So that's where I started Aspects and Angles Photography. And from there, eh, honestly, things kind of really, really took off. I was working full-time during the day, and here's the body. We're going to save this for a second. I was working full-time during the day in the financial technology space, which was great. Did that for a little over 12 years. And but then, the last few years of doing that is when it kind of crossed paths with me taking photography a little bit more seriously and treating it more like a business. And that's when it really started to grow and take off. And then, inevitably reached a point where I kind of had to make a decision on what I was going to do, continue to do. Am I going to do just photography on nights and weekends like I had been doing, or was I going to actually, jump in and work for myself and kind of take that plunge? And well, I did. Towards the end of 2019 is when I left corporate America forever and started to do this full time, and I haven't looked back. One of the most difficult things about starting this channel, other than the fact that I am incredibly uncomfortable being on camera, I chose my this life specifically because I could be behind the camera, but I also know that I think a couple people might get some value out of this, so it's worth getting in front of the camera and talking about a few things. And but one of the most difficult things about doing this is the fact that there are so many topics to cover. I have been fortunate enough to do some really, really, really cool things. To say that this camera has taken me literally all over the world, that would be a completely true statement. And it's pretty insane. I've been able to meet some incredible people from, well, I'll just put a couple photos up on the screen here, and you can see that, I've gotten to capture some really, really incredible moments. And it's pretty awesome. It's really, really, really cool. Sometimes I do have to, not to be too cliche here, but I do have to pinch myself. The fact that I get to wake up and be in charge of my own time, and I get to leave the house every day and go do what I love. I know how rare that is. So it's pretty awesome. I have a list of probably 100 different videos that I want to make, and I look forward to making them all. And I think they're gonna cover everything from not just gear review and my workflow, and talking about the business side of running a photography business, and what that looks like for me. Those are all things that hey, look, battery, awesome, need that. And but I want to talk about how to get into the business, how to I know a lot of people have reached that point where I was back in 2019, where it was like, am I gonna continue doing my normal corporate thing, or am I gonna take the plunge? Am I gonna jump in and start doing this thing that brings me so much happiness? How do I do it? How did I prepare myself? What was the financial situation with all of that? I want to talk about all of that stuff in pretty great detail, because I really do feel like it's going to help people. I get messages all the time from up and coming photographers who have questions about all of those things, and I think that if I can kind of shed more light on those topics, that hey, if it helps the next photographer coming up, great. Then it was well worth the time. And I also think that those are all just important conversations to have in general, because when everybody can learn, everybody can be better, we can all succeed, and so yeah. Um, Charging cable, wonderful. And let's see here. I'm guessing, yeah, I hit the microphone. Listen, this is my first video that I've made in a really long time, so bear with me. So this is the charger. Awesome. Great. All right, so the moment we have all been waiting for. The new Canon flagship. The Canon R1. Insert awesome cinematic close-ups. Yeah, those shots were pretty fun. I don't know about you, but if you're going to spend $7,000, almost $7,000 on a camera, you should always go and put it next to an open flame. I think that's always a super, super good idea. So initial reaction, obviously I know all the specs and everything. I've been watching every video that has come out about this camera for the last couple of years, every rumor, every article, everything, to decide whether or not this was the direction I wanted to go. And again, I'm not going to dive into all the specs on here. I'll save that for another video. But some of the things that stick out immediately, if you're a 1DX user, thinking about making the upgrade, this body style is certainly going to be very familiar. Pretty similar. Obviously, some notable differences. The grip on the new R1 is a little bit different. It's kind of a grippy diamond plate pattern, which I think is really cool. That's going to be great in the hands, especially because, you know what? I am not gentle with my equipment. That sounds funny. I am not very gentle. I'm going to reword that. I am not very gentle with my cameras. When I use my cameras, I use them. I get in all kinds of different environments, whether it be, gosh, I don't know, shooting baseball or softball where there's dirt flying everywhere. If we're doing a shoot with, a senior and we're out in the woods, or if they want to go in like a river or something. And I've shot in pretty much every climate you can imagine. So that's one of the wonderful things I love about Canon is that these things are tanks. I mean, they really, really are. I've dropped them by accident, but I have dropped them before, and they just, I don't know. They just, the build quality is always something that I am super, super impressed by. They really can withstand a lot of punishment. And, frankly, they should. At this price point, they should be able to put up with quite a bit of punishment. But I promise I'll be careful with the new R1, at least for a little while. And, yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. I think one of the biggest things that I'm most excited about is that it has a flip-out screen. Because on the 1DX bodies, they do not have a flip-out screen. And for anyone who shoots any type of sports, sometimes you have to get down at a unique low angle to get like a really cool shot. And it's really challenging when you don't have a flip-out screen to, see exactly what you're shooting. I prefer not to just kind of spray and pray every situation. I do like to at least have some thought behind my composition when I'm shooting. So being able to actually see what I'm looking at when I'm going to be at kind of some more challenging angles, I think is going to be really, really huge. So that's pretty cool. So I'm super excited about this new camera. Again, I'm not going into a bunch of details. And it's funny, I really needed to get this unboxing video done because I'm going to be using this camera for the first time tomorrow, actually. I have a college soccer game, college basketball, and college volleyball all in one day. So I'm gonna put this thing through its paces, and I'm really really excited about it. All right, cool. So that was just a quick unboxing, and again, I'll provide some more real world application type of content on this on the new R1, hopefully in the near future. But I just wanted to get it out of the box so that I can go use it tomorrow, and also just kind of kick off this channel. I think one of the hardest things about starting a YouTube channel or just starting to create videos in general is that just it's the first one. Just getting started is really really difficult. I can direct people all day long. I like being behind the camera and being that part of the business. But I also understand that there's a lot of value on being on this side of the camera, and I have been able to do some really 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 cool stuff over the last 5 or 6 years that I think people will find value in. At least I hope so. So yeah, thanks for your patience as I kind of fumble around getting comfortable on camera. I do appreciate you tuning in, and I'm not going to tell you to like, comment, and subscribe because everybody does, and you know that if you like the content, you'll like, comment, or subscribe. All right. Okay. Bye.